this is Bobby Rempley from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to BBQ Central.
Yay! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good afternoon and welcome to a special live edition of the Really Big BBQ Central Show. A show, as we know, that talks about the most important things in the world of barbecue and grilling. Live, local, and late breaking across the nation and globe. We're here on Wednesday after a victorious and new BBQ Central show last night, where three of us sang our hearts out for the American Idol BBQ Central show, third season, second month. So if you listen to the show and you want to vote for us, please do that. Before we get to any of the Hall of Fame stuff, forget about that. We have a singing contest going on the Really Big Show. So please make sure that you are voting early, voting often. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com, and then list out who you liked 1 through 3. Don't just vote for one person. List all three of us out, all votes being tabulated and all votes being taken until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. If you missed it, go back and get it in podcast. That'll be out tomorrow, or you can go on any of the video platforms and get it right now and tell me who you think sang the best, and the top two move on to the finals at the end of next month. Notwithstanding that, why are we here? 2 weeks ago, we learned the 9 finalists that were making up who will be 4 of the final and class of 2022 for the BBQ Hall of Fame. We arduously evaluated and critiqued them over the last few weeks. The embedded correspondents and I, before singing, decided who we think might be showing up on this list, and we'll reveal that here in just 1 second in case you missed it. But before we continue to move on here, we should bring in the manager over at the World Series of Barbecue and the lady that has helped me bring this exclusive show to you, and luckily this year it has remained exclusive. We all know what happened last year. We welcome back friend of show, Emily Park. Hey, Emily.
Hi.
How are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to have you once again, and we are really looking forward to finding out a number of things during this afternoon. 4 of, I guess, what we'll call the living Hall of Fame inductees. Then we will have 3 legacy members, those folks that have passed away but have been deemed fit to get into the BBQ Hall of Fame post-life. And then we also will be learning about a very new award. So if you missed 2 weeks ago, as we announced it, give us a little background and lead up on this Impact Award that we'll be also revealing today.
Yeah, so the Impact Award is a new award given by the BBQ Hall of Fame Committee to a group of individuals that we believe that need to just have a little bit of education and praise and thank them for everything that they've done for the BBQ Hall of Fame. Not necessarily inducted, but more of an award given out by the Hall. So we're excited to start that this year.
Is there anything else that we would want to know about prior to unveiling the 4 inductees of the BBQ Hall of Fame? As everybody is very excited and piling in here, so we want to give a few more minutes as the live audience starts to build in before we reveal everything. But we've talked about, obviously, how these names are brought up. Maybe for those that aren't familiar or missed the show 2 weeks ago, after we've come to this final 9, give us a little lead up as to how we will be learning these 4 names. What has happened since then?
What's happened since the voting? Well, the voting concluded about 24 hours ago. So I got the honor to call the inductees. So that was pretty cool.
Was anybody surprised?
Let them know that they're They were all very honored.
Oh,
I will say that.
great.
The surprise was a wonderful surprise. Everyone was extremely excited. They all knew they were finalists, so they weren't completely blown away,
Right.
but very, very excited. And then now we're just kind of getting stuff ready so that we can push it out. So other than being on the show today, we'll be pushing this out on our website, press release, that kind of thing. So we're excited.
All right, so let's start here this afternoon. I'm used to saying this evening. By the way, folks that are like, oh, we've caught Rempe in a lie. We're doing it live. Don't worry about it. That was a misspeak on my part. We're doing it live. It's 3:05 Eastern right here. Let's kind of back into the main Hall of Fame announcements. Let's go ahead and start with the Impact Award and who's getting that.
Perfect. I'd love to. So the Impact Award, before I kind of go into this, you already drum rolled me.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to
Very
mention that this may not be given every year.
Okay.
It's based on if the committee wants to give it and has a group. So it's just a new thing that we can give. But so for 2022, the Impact Award is going to the Unsung Black Barbecue Cooks. So this is, the group that is unfortunately nameless. I hate to say that, but the group that paved the way for everything that you see in photos, but we don't know who they were, that started barbecue for everybody. Adrian Miller writes about this in his book. It's a perfect example of our roots in barbecue. And we just thought that we would like to honor this whole group of individuals. And we don't know how big the group is. It's massive. So it's a moment for us to get to educate on the beginning of what we do know and try to give a little bit to the legacy of barbecue.
Well, I don't think it's any surprise, Emily, as you look back through the history of this country, especially if you were black in the slave days, people didn't seem to care about you that much. Not real good documentation on names and what you were bringing to the table. If you were an excellent pitmaster, nobody really cared. So that is a group that by and large would probably remain nameless, and that's incredibly unfortunate because we'd love to know the names that have started this whole live fire community that we're so passionate about. We want to see grow year after year, and hopefully we can put some names to those faces, but I agree with you, by and large it would probably and probably will remain nameless, but very good Impact Award that you guys have decided to share, and a good inaugural Impact Award as well.
Yeah, we're really excited. So we're hoping with this too, this will continue kind of the education component of this group, of the whole hall, to talk about why we're doing this. And this one is one that we were really honored to get to do.
Right, Emily, hold on a second here.
Oh.
You are not Susie, and you are not Todd Bullock.
Not today.
No. Hold on one second. I'm changing that right now. Some of us wish we were Susie or Todd Bullock. They're having incredible success, but there she is, right there, Emily Park, BBQ Hall of Fame.
Perfect.
Okay, now we're fully titled here. I'm sorry, I forgot to do that in all the other setup here as we lead in. This is how we know it's live,
it's
because if this was recorded, that's
we're
right.
Live.
If this was recorded, that never would have happened. We would have just edited it right out. We would have kept on going, but this is live.
Exactly.
That's right. All right, so next up is the legacy members who are going to be going in this year. It used to be 2. We are now adding a 3rd this year, so we'll have 3 legacy members. Here were my guesses from last night. We'll see how correct I am. I went with Ray Basso, founder of the Barbecue Forum. I went with Bill Arnold, who I think had 2 or 3 times been on the living side of the 9 finalists here till he passed away earlier this year. And then Brent Walton of Queuing for You. That's a name that goes way back, probably mid-'90s to the early 2000s before he passed away. So those were my guesses. So go ahead and let's have a reveal on the legacy members of 2022.
All right. Our first one, Bobby Mueller. Bobby Mueller. Sorry, you did not get the win there.
Nope.
Louis Mueller Barbecue managed his father's iconic location in Texas before his passing. Very instrumental in beef short ribs, and it's Texas Barbecue. I'm pretty sure they own the URL, texasbarbecue.com. I might be I might be wrong, but Bobby Miller was, instrumental into making this what it is now and continuing the legacy and making it Texas Barbecue. This is where you get it.
All right, Bobby Miller there. Next up in the legacy member, number 2, in no particular order.
Karen Putman.
All right, Karen.
Karen Putnam. So Kansas City native. Her profile is vast. It's going to be hard to say this quickly, but first woman to do many things. She was an executive chef in many areas, kind of you name it. In Kansas City, she was their executive chef. I don't know a better way to put that. But in the world of competition barbecue, she was the first woman to really kind of change the course when this was a very male-dominated group. Flower of the Flames is her group, and she definitely was the educator, the promoter. If anyone in the contest world would speak about her, she was the one who was there to help you out while still trying to win, of course. So her name is a legacy, definitely.
Third and final legacy member before we get to the BBQ Hall of Fame living side.
Third and final, Adam Scott. So Adam Scott founded one of the oldest sit-down barbecue restaurants in the nation. So started that, known for his sauce recipe, which is still going now. His family's still continuing that. So it's been about 100 years, and that's still going. So really instrumental in the business side of barbecue, definitely in a time too where African Americans were not able to do this as much, and he started the restaurant and the business and kept it going. So a key legacy member in the history of barbecue. So I will have to say one thing. All the other names you mentioned, yes, we have discussed them in length.
Oh,
so I can tell you on behalf of the hall, if we could induct every single person in 1 year, they would all be in there. So it's going to happen. It's just we can't do 40 names a year, unfortunately.
I was going to say I'm no mathematician, but as I do quick math in my head, Karen Putman, Bobby Miller, and Adam Scott equals 0 of my guesses. So I'm about right on course for how we usually do this thing, 0% currently. And that brings us to the 4 that will be bringing and making up the class of the 2022 BBQ Hall of Fame. As you would recall, folks that are listening, because Emily knows this, the 9 finalists, if you missed it, Byron Chisholm from Bad Byron's Butt Rub, Steve Grady, John Marcus, Ed Mitchell, Flora Payne, Donnie Teal, Joe Traeger, Darren Worth, and Leanne Whippen. 4 of those will make up the 2022 class this year that we are getting ready to announce. Is there anything we need to lead up to? Go to quick commercial break like Bob Barker and pull everybody out of the seat here and build suspense, or should we just get right to it?
I say we get to it.
All right, why not? Let's have name number... Wait, let me pull it back. See what I did? I'm Bob Barkering it right now.
You have to say who your votes are.
Last night, the embedded correspondents and I say these will be your 4 people picked here in the next few minutes. Ed Mitchell and John Marcus, Joe Traeger, and Darren Worth. So those were the 4 that we argued over for the better part of 15 minutes, and were able to come up with those names. 3 were pretty easy for us. The last one was a bit of a difficulty to land on a quorum, but we did finally get there. So without any further ado, name number 1.
John Marcus.
Yes! We're right at least 25%. That puts us much better than last year and years before. So let me go ahead and highlight him. Good.
So
John Marcus.
For those of you listening now, John Marcus, he's known for the top that most know about is Barbecue Pitmasters, but he also had a show, All Star Barbecue. But besides that, he lives in a world of barbecue. So he lives in New York. He is a big proponent of barbecue outside of his work in the media and journalism and trying to get it into the forefront. I think he is instrumental in getting barbecue in our households and sharing the world of barbecue that many people didn't know about. if you really think about when it changed, John Marcus, he's the guy. He brought it to us.
If you look through the history of the show and the pitmasters that I have interviewed, inevitably one of the questions that I've asked at least a number of years ago was, well, how did you get into barbecue, whether it be just in the backyard or through the competition side? And there was a big stretch of time, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, where if it wasn't the first thing, it was the second thing. They said, well, I watched Barbecue Pitmasters on television and that inspired me, or that proved to me that this is something that I could practice and be good at. Because what do we always say in regards to being a professional barbecuer? This is a sport where you have an unequaled opportunity to any other sport. You and I are not going out on professional football fields, basketball courts, tennis courts, or whatever, because we're not elite athletes. It's not something we've been doing all our lives. However, on the competition side of things, if you pay your entry fee, you could literally set up next to a Darren Worth or a Sterling Ball or a what's that guy's name? Brad Leiniger from Getting Basted. The list goes on.
There's so many names.
Yes, you can compete against the best of the best on any given weekend to see where it stacks up. And I think that's where a lot of the draw and a lot of the popularity, especially on competition side, saw for those 10 years or so. And John Marcus was a singular fact in helping, what I say, inspire a generation of barbecuers that might not have ever gotten into it. So great to see John Marcus get in. I believe he was a third-time nominee, so he gets over the threshold this time. Number 2 of 4. Who do we got?
Ed Mitchell.
Ed Mitchell. I don't know much about math, but I think I'm 50% right here. So that's pretty good. We're doing pretty good here. Tell us about Ed and why he got over.
Ed Mitchell, I've been told he's known as the pitmaster, the guy, North Carolina's pitmaster. Definitely known for his whole hog barbecue. We've got some other members of the hall who are in the same category, but he's done beyond just his restaurant and really has taken the whole hog and made it a prestigious thing. You see that he's like James Beard House. He was part of that. There's just so much that he's done. So we're really excited to have Ed Mitchell part of the group.
Good to see Ed Mitchell in. Name number 3. Who do we have?
Joe Traeger.
We might finally be know-it-alls after
really
all here. Unbelievable.
I'm really enjoying your reaction to this.
This is great. I mean, I've never been 75% right in my whole life. This is a pinnacle moment of my very lifetime. So great to see Joe Traeger come in.
Joe Traeger, I don't know if there's much I need to say. I think we know. Joe Traeger.
Drop the
Traegers.
Joe. Say Traeger. I mean, if you don't know that, where are you? No doubt.
Right. He changed the world of barbecue as we know it, as we can do it in our homes, as we did it in competition, as restaurants did it. There's actually a great picture I have of him kicking over a flame, another
like a grill
method
or
to cook barbecue.
Yep.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to say the brand. Kicking over something else that had a lot of flames coming out of it, and he is the smoker king, if we would. So yeah, I mean, he brought it into everyone's home. I think even he's become the Kleenex, if you would, of smokers, or even if they don't have a Traeger, they think it's a Traeger. So good job, Joe.
Yeah, Joe certainly deserving, and it's one of those things where over the last 5 years, I think pellet cookers have become the most popular that they have ever seen. Joe Traeger comes out with the first Traeger early mid-'80s, and it was just kind of lingering there for a number of decades, and finally he is seeing the fruits of his original labor. Certainly there's a number of other pellet cookers, manufacturers out there, a lot of brands, a lot of shapes, sizes, and all that stuff, but I would tend to agree with you to a certain amount that when you think of a pellet cooker, you probably think of Traeger number 1 or number 2, especially if you're just getting into it and what you're being exposed to the big box side of the retail location. So good to see Joe Traeger in there as third. Oh boy, now we get to the final one here, and I got to tell you, I am both very excited and very nervous because I can see this going at least in 3 to 4 directions.
Well, it can go in 5 different directions,
oh my God.
right?
Yeah, and one, because we have...
Am I right?
I said Darren Worth to become 100%, but boy, I could see Leanne Whippen, I could see Byron, I could see Steve, I could see Flora. Oh boy, I mean, this is going to be something.
There's
Let's
no one on the
just
list that
cut
isn't
to the
worthy.
chase. Forget it, Emily. Let us know what number 4 is.
Leanne Whippen.
There you go. I do want to shout out to Doug Scheiding, longest running embedded correspondent. While he did, well, I think I might have got him to acquiesce to Darren Worth, he did say that he thought that Leanne Whippen was going to be voted in today. So Doug is 100% right this evening, but everybody else is 75%. And great to see Leanne Whippen, another 3-time nominee, make it over the threshold.
Right. Leanne Whippen. I mean, it's very difficult to say this again. She's another person that you're like, I need more than 20 seconds to talk about Leanne's. Her resume alone, oh my goodness. I actually got to see a copy of that. Holy moly, she's been busy. She's got 6 restaurants. She's on radio shows. She's doing media interviews everywhere. You can see her. Just turn on Food Network right now. She's probably on right now. I would just assume so. So she's probably on there right now. And she is a philanthropist and she's educating others. Leanne has dedicated her life to barbecue in every aspect available. And I think she's going to keep finding more and keep going. So we are very proud of Leanne and excited to have her on in the hall as well.
Well, if you're just tuning in, I apologize because we're getting ready to wrap up. This is being recorded. You can get it in podcast here directly. That might take an hour or two to populate into your podcast catcher or platform, whatever you use. But I will tell you this, so I can spoil everything as well if you just missed everything. In the impact category, that is not something that's going to happen every year, but if the names committee decides that it is worthy to have a group or selection of people be awarded this, it will happen, and that's for the unsung black barbecuers. And Karen Putman, Bobby Miller, and Adam Scott were put in on the legacy side, and then we just revealed who the 2022 class of living BBQ Hall of Fame members would be: John Marcus, Ed Mitchell, Joe Traeger, and Leanne Whippen. Emily, for the folks that will now start the what I would call bitching and moaning for the next 10 months because so-and-so didn't make it in, or how about somebody else that didn't even get mentioned or put on the 9 finalists? What can we do to rectify such a situation from happening again next year?
Thank you for asking.
Sure.
This is perfect. So right now and for the next 12 months, every single week of the year, except for 1 week, we will have the nomination form posted to barbecuehalloffame.com. You can nominate anyone you think is worthy. If you think we have a nomination or you think we don't have a nomination, nominate them. There are many people who get multiple nominations. There are many people who get 1. We review every single nomination. There's no one left out of this discussion, but we have to get a nomination to discuss it. So just know that. You help us with step 1, the wonderful nominating committee who is posted online so you can see how skilled they are in the world of barbecue. They then will take this list and argue it to get it down to the top 9. So please, please, please nominate.
That's right. We encourage you to do it early, do it often, and you have a whole 52 weeks right from now in order to do it. In fact, you have 51 weeks out of every calendar year to do it before they start the process of whittling it down here to the 9, and then we finally get to the 4 here and the 3 legacy members, and then that first Impact Award. Really great. Anything else, Emily, before I let you go, as far as the American Royal competition that's going to be coming up here shortly?
Yeah, real quick, the barbecue is going to be the weekend of September 29th through October 3rd. We will be inducting the Hall of Famers on stage on October 2nd. I'm sorry. We'll be inducting the Hall of Famers on stage on Saturday, October 1st. This will happen in Kansas City, Kansas at the Kansas Speedway. So if you want to be part of this event, please come on down. It is the world's largest barbecue competition. And if you want to come down and cook, like you said, next to some pitmasters, come on down and cook. It's open to anyone. So be part of barbecue. This is your weekend to do it.
Emily Park is the manager of the World Series of Barbecue. We've just revealed all of the Hall of Fame names and the Impact Award. Emily, really appreciate the partnership and the fun that we've been able to share here, which I believe we've come up with over the last 4 years. We're going to continue to run with that and make that the time frame that we're dealing with. And thanks so much for doing it. Always fun, and appreciate the partnership.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
You got it. There she is, Emily Park right there from the American Royal. And there you have the Hall of Fame announcements. Just to recap, the Impact Award goes to the Unsung Black Barbecue Cooks. The Legacy Awards going to Karen Putnam, Bobby Miller, and Adam Scott. And the, I guess what we would call, maybe we have to rename the living portion. It's weird to say the living portion, and I don't want to say the main Barbecue Hall of Fame, but we'll figure that out here before next year. The folks that were 9 that now make up the 4 official Barbecue Hall of Fame members: John Marcus, Ed Mitchell, Joe Traeger, and Leanne Whippen. So, a great show, great nominations, great Barbecue Hall of Fame members and legacy members and Impact Awards. Very excited. Again, if you're just tuning in, I apologize. We're getting ready to tune out, but it is being recorded. It'll be up on podcast here shortly, so you can hear it all unfold for yourself, just as if it were live, but it's not. It'll be recorded. Thank you for tuning in. We have a big show planned for you next Tuesday, of course. And let me remind you, vote for the Barbecue Central Show's American Idol Barbecue Central Show edition. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Vote for me, or vote for Rusty, or vote for John. List all 3 in your email, and we will continue to tabulate until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Ray Lampy will be in next Tuesday. We'll be talking about the Hall of Fame inductions here that just took place. Also, Oklahoma Joe Davidson, who is also a Barbecue Hall of Famer, will be in, talking about Oklahoma Joe cookers and possibly Hall of Fame members. And we will also have somebody from Next Grill, so be sure to tune in at that point. How do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
This is Steve, the Cookout Coach, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.